Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quarter 2, Week 3 to 4, Music and Arts 8, under Matatag or Enhanced K-12 Curriculum, Session 1. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You may also visit our Facebook page, Instagram, and of course, in YouTube. So, this is your teacher, Zakara. And here is our content standard. The learners demonstrate an understanding of significant folk music and arts of selected Asian countries in relation to the relevant conventional and emerging concepts, techniques, processes, and or practices of their integrated creative work. For the content of performance standard, the learners produce creative works of selected Asian communities based on relevant, conventional and emerging concepts, techniques, processes, and or practices in music and arts. Learning competency. Relate Asia's significant folk performing and visual arts to emerging creative concepts, processes, and practices. As for our learning objectives, would you like to read the learning objectives? You can pause the video and read rather the learning objectives. For our topic, it's traditional Asian folk arts and new creative trends. So we have four subtopics. First, we have the music, focusing on Indian sitar, Japanese koto, and Indonesian gamelan. For our subtopic 2, which is dance, so we're going to focus on Thairam Thai dance, Balinese, Legong dance, and Korean fan dance. For visual arts, that is the subtopic 3. We're going to focus on Chinese brush painting, Japanese woodblock painting, Indonesian wayang kulit. For subtopic 4, theater, Chinese Beijing opera, Indian Kathakali, and Japanese no theater. But before that, let's have our preliminary assessment as we also introduce the new lesson. So let's have activity number 1. We're going to have crossword puzzle. Begin by answering the clues you know for sure. Then use the letters from those answers to help you with the other clues. If you're stuck, take a break and come back later. You can just take a pause or pause the video and then think of something and then just be back, right? So if you are within your classes, worksheets will be given by your teacher, or you may write the answer directly. Let's start. For number 1, we're looking for the word with the definition or with a clue, traditional performing art of Japan. For number 2, going down, Balinese traditional dance. For number 3, it's across. So you have to think of a word with a clue, Indonesian shadow puppetry. Number 4, going down, you'll have to think of a word with a clue iconic to Indian classical music with its gourd body. And for number 5, that's across, you're going to create a word with a clue rhythmic ensemble, bronze gongs, drums, and drums melodic. So, are you done? Now let's check it out. These are the answers. Establishing lesson purpose. Identification. Examine the pictures. Your task is to identify the traditional Asian folk arts depicted in the pictures. Write down your answer in the space provided if worksheets are given to you or directly to your notebook. Let's start. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5, number 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're now moving forward to unlocking content vocabulary. Note, you have to keep the terms in mind as they will be discussed further in the next sessions to come. Would you like to read this one? Yes, traditional Asia folk arts. Traditional Asian folk arts, it encompasses a diverse range of artistic expressions that have evolved over centuries within various Asian cultures. These art forms often reflect the unique cultural identities, beliefs, and practices of different communities across Asia. These art forms play a vital role in preserving cultural heritage, fostering community cohesion, and celebrating the diversity of Asian cultures. The next term is new creative trends. So, what are these? These refer to emerging patterns, ideas, or movements in creative expression and innovation. These trends often reflect cultural, technological, or societal shifts, shaping how artists, designers, and creators approach their work. Some key characteristics of new creative trends include innovation, interdisciplinarity, social and cultural commentary, sustainability, and ethics. So let's start with music. Are you familiar with this instrument? What instrument is this? Can you guess? Indian sitar. The sitar is a plucked string instrument that holds a significant place in Indian classical music. The sitar has a long and rich history with origins dating back to ancient India. It gained popularity and underwent significant development during the Mughal period in the 16th and 17th centuries. Over time, it evolved into the modern sitar we recognize today. So basically, it started in ancient India, and at the same time, even if if the trends change, like we are already in the modern trend today, sitar is still existing. It still exists, and it is being used by our Indian musicians.
I am a stringed musical instrument from the lute family. In India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan is my popularity. Do you know what I am called? I am a sitar.
You may just pause the video and then look for the full video. You can watch the full video separately. I'm gonna put the link in the description box. Now let's talk about the structure, materials, playing technique, and the famous players of sitar. So as for the structure, the sitar typically has a long, hollow neck with movable frets, a resonator, often made from a gourd, and a varying number of strings. The most common sitar configuration features 6 or 7 main playing strings and 12 to 13 sympathetic strings. Materials. Traditionally, sitars are crafted from seasoned gourds for the resonating chamber. Yes, the literal gourd. And the neck is usually made of seasoned tune or teak wood. The strings were historically made of gut, but modern sitars often use steel strings. As for the playing technique, sitar players known as sitarists. Again, how do we call the sitar players? Sitarists. employ a combination of plucking and fretting techniques to produce melodies. The main strings are plucked with a wire plectrum called a mizrab. Again, the plectrum in sitar, it's called mizrab, while the sympathetic strings vibrate sympathetically to enrich the sound. For the famous players, some of the renowned sitar players include Ravi Shankar, Vilayat Khan, Nikhil Banerjee, and Anushka Shankar. So Ravi Shankar is one of the famous, in particular, played a pivotal role in popularizing the sitar globally through collaborations with Western musicians like George Harrison of the Beatles. So as you can see in the photos, this is a gourd. Yeah, the plant, the gourd itself, it looks like a pumpkin. Although here in the Philippines, I don't think we have this. Maybe some parts of the Philippines they grow this kind, but I'm pretty sure it's the smaller type. Yep. So it's being processed up until it becomes dry, and then now it looks like this. Yes. And this is the Mizrab, students. This is the plectrum. So they use it for plucking the strings. Now here, this is Mr. Ravi Shankar. So he was a world-renowned Indian sitarist and composer who became the foremost ambassador of Indian classical music to the West, collaborating with Western musicians like the Beatles and Philip Glass and inspiring many others. Now let's move to the next. What instrument is this? Can you guess? That is a Japanese koto. The Japanese koto is a traditional stringed instrument that holds a significant place in Japanese music and culture. The origins of the koto can be traced back to ancient China, where it was known as the guzheng. So it was introduced to Japan during the Nara period or during the 8th century and underwent significant development over the centuries, evolving into the modern koto we know today. So imagine from China, in China it's called guzheng, right? So maybe someone brought guzheng to Japan and it was introduced in Japan during the Nara period. So from then, from the 8th century up until today, koto, the Japanese koto, is still existing. It's being used, of course, but it underwent already some sort of development. It's amazing, right? Now let's talk about the structure, repertoire, playing technique, and the famous players. So, as for the structure, the koto typically has a long, rectangular body made of Polonia wood with 13 silk strings stretched over movable bridges called G. The bridges allow players to adjust the pitch of individual strings, enabling a wide range of musical expressions. The koto has a diverse repertoire that encompasses traditional Japanese music, including classical court music gagaku. So when we say classical court music, these are those music that are used within the court or in the palace, in formal setting. And they also have chamber music, which is sangkyoko, and solo compositions. It is also used in contemporary music, including collaborations with other instruments and genres. For the playing technique, koto players known as kotoists. So if the sitar players they're called sitarists, koto players are called what? Correct, kotoists. Pluck the strings. So the kotoists they pluck the strings using three finger picks or tsumi on their thumb, index, and middle finger. They employ various techniques, including plucking, bending, and sliding, to produce nuanced melodies and harmonies. So, some of the famous players, some of the notable koto players, they include Michio Miyagi, Yatusahashi Kenyo, and Tadao Sawai. These musicians have made significant contributions to the koto's repertoire and have helped popularize the instrument both in Japan and internationally. As for the popularization and cultural integration, now let me rephrase, or not rephrase, but let me say it again. Popularization and cultural integration. So during the Edo period, the instrument gained widespread popularity during the Edo period, that was in 1600s to 1867, partly due to the efforts of blind musicians like Yatsuhashi Kengyo. So remember, during the Nara period, it was introduced in Japan, okay, from China. But during the Edo period, it gained widespread popularity. So it is partly due to the efforts of blind musicians like Yatsuhashi Kengyo. So Yatsuhashi Kengyo, from 1614 up until 1685. Now, in the modern era, composer Miyagi Michio, 1894 to 1956, he was the first to blend traditional koto music with Western music, a practice continued in contemporary compositions. So today, the koto remains a significant traditional instrument in Japan, its elegant sound continuing to be a vital part of the country's musical heritage. And of course, at the same time, Western music or around the world, Japanese koto is actually sometimes it's used along with other instruments from all over the world. Hmm. What ansam is this? Can you guess? If you can still remember your grade 7 music and arts lesson, then I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with this ansam. Correct. This is an Indonesian gamelan. Indonesian gamelan is a traditional ansam music of Indonesia characterized by its distinctive percussive sounds and intricate melodies. The word gamelan refers to gamel in Javanese, which means the act of drumming or hitting. Again, the word gamelan refers to gamel in Javanese, which means the act of drumming or hitting. Obviously, when we say Javanese, like Javanese people, they're from Java, Indonesia. It's mainly predominated by percussion instruments that include xylophone, metallophone, spike fiddle or rebab, gong, drum, bamboo flute, strings, several regional instruments, and vocalists, called sinden on certain occasions. You may watch the full video. You just have to go to the description box and there you'll see the link. Now let's talk about Ansam, tuning system, cultural diversity, and performance contexts, social and spiritual significance, and global influence. Let's start with Ansam. Gamelan ensembles or ansam typically consist of a variety of percussion instruments, including metallophones such as the saron and jander, gongs such as the gong, ageng, and kempul, drums such as the kendang, and bamboo flutes such as the suling. Each instrument in the ansam has its own unique tuning and role in creating the overall sound. Now, do not be confused, okay? It used to be ensemble. I actually pronounce it ensemble as well, just to make sure that it is understood by many. But lately, I found out that this is pronounced as ansam. Okay, but then again, you do your own research as well. And if you think that ansam is not correct or incorrect, then you can comment in the comment section and type it there. Um, the source where it says or how this word is actually pronounced correctly. Okay? Now let's talk about tuning system. Gamelan instruments are tuned to a unique tuning system called slendro or pelog, which consists of 5 or 7 pitches per octave. These tuning systems create a rich and complex harmonic palette, allowing for the creation of intricate melodies and rhythms. So if you wanna know about slendro or pelog, I think it's in the grade 7 videos, music and arts, that we have in the in our YouTube page, so you can just take a look. As for cultural diversity, Indonesia, with different regions and ethnic groups having their own styles and traditions, the most well known forms of gamelan include Javanese gamelan, of course, that's from Java, and Balinese gamelan, that's from Bali, each with its own repertoire, performance practices, and aesthetic conventions. Gamelan music is often performed as part of various cultural and religious ceremonies, including temple rituals, weddings, and traditional festivals. It is also featured in theatrical performances such as Wayang Kulit, or the shadow puppetry of Indonesia, and traditional dance dramas like Wayang Wong. Now, do not be confused because in the early lessons that we had, there is also a shadow puppetry from China. So, China shadow puppetry, it's a different thing, and Indonesia also, they have their shadow puppetry and they call it wayang kulit. Now they also have their traditional dance drama. Same with Thailand, they have the the mass dance drama of Thailand. In Indonesia, they have traditional dance dramas called wayang wong or like wayang wong. They have different traditional dance drama. One of the famous is wayang wong. Now, the social and spiritual significance. So, why is it really important socially and spiritually? In addition to its artistic and entertainment value, gamelan music holds deep social and spiritual significance in Indonesian culture because it is believed to have the power to evoke emotions, connect people with their ancestors, and facilitate communication with the spirit world. Now, what's really the gamelan ensemble global influence? So, in recent years, gamelan music has gained popularity beyond Indonesia and has become a subject of study and performance in universities and cultural institutions around the world. So, it's really amazing, right? Because gamelan, not just in Indonesia, it's not just famous in Indonesia, but also around the world, especially to the different universities. Now, it has also influenced Western composers and musicians, leading to the incorporation of gamelan elements into contemporary music genres. Performance contexts. Gamelan music is often performed as part of various cultural and religious ceremonies, including temple rituals, weddings, and traditional festivals. It is also featured. Oh, I already read this. Let's move to the next. Now, according to Javanese mythology, Sanghyang created gamelan music in Saka era. When we say era, it's a period of time. Okay, so it's like Saka period. Right. He was a god who once ruled Java and resided in a palace at Mahendra Mountain. No, it's called Mahendra Mountain that time, but today it is known as Mount Lawu. At first, accordingly, the gong was invented by him as a signal to summon other gods. Afterwards, another gong was created to deliver more specific messages. These two gongs were then claimed as the initial model of a gamelan set. So this is actually a Javanese gamelan. In Java, a classical art performance accompanied by smooth gamelan music is widely known as karawitan. This term originates from Sanskrit and Javanese word rawit, which means delicate or intricate. Its rhythm generally sounds peaceful and in tune. Often employed in traditional dances, voice, and puppetry art, karawitan classifies gamelan based on its function, quantity, and type. Now let's take a look to the Sundanese gamelan. In West Java, Sundanese people usually perform the popular gamelan degung for local events and public gatherings. They have three leading gamelan styles that consist of one gamelan salendro, two gamelan degung, and three tembang sunda. And the third one is Balinese gamelan. It has been in around since 8th century as a result of good relations between empires in Java and Bali. So one of most prevalent styles in Balinese gamelan is gamelan gong kebyar. They frequently play gamelan and kekak, theatrical dance, religious ceremonies in music and in art performances. Now it's time to watch. So you can actually watch the full videos using this link, or you just have to type the title of the video. Or if you want the exact video, then you can take a look at the description box. I'm gonna put there the what do you call this one? These links. Now let's try to click, okay, so you will have an idea. So if you want to watch the sitar, the musical instrument, you have to go to this video. The title is Sitar, Musical Instruments, Nursery Rhymes TV Music for Kids by Nursery Rhymes TV. Now let's try the Leaves from the Vine or the Japanese koto cover. So it will actually take you, if you click that link, it will actually take you to this video. Leaves from the Vine, Japanese koto cover by Harold Andre. And the other one, the gamelan recorded in Pilyatan, Bali, Indonesia in 1985. When you click the link, it will take you into this video. So let me not just play this one because there's an advertisement, but the title is Gamelan recorded in Pilyatan, Bali, Indonesia in 1985 by Wow Shack Video. Okay, let's go back. There you go. By the way, you do not need to worry because your teacher will actually show you the actual video or the full video during your lessons. But just in case if you want to study in advance or you want to review, so you can just take a look at the links or the video links in the description box. Lesson activity. Collaborative project development. The class will be divided into 6 groups. They will be tasked to make a musical instrument, adapting the musical instruments that were discussed in this session. So here is the rubric for making a musical instrument. And yes, you will be creating your musical instrument. Further instructions will be given by your teacher.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You may visit us also on our Facebook page.
Thank you so much for watching and listening.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank
Terima
you.
kasih.
This is how to say thank you in
Terima
Indonesian.
kasih. Terima
See you
kasih.
around.